Everyone, we are back with our live session. For the first time, we are doing it in the morning, just because of the fact that yesterday the XAT paper, my analysis, the examination end at a late evening, and then we thought that let us do it on the next day following up, because lot of people maybe who are traveling to a distant place, a remote place for the exam centers, because the exam centers were far off. They may not able to watch. So exam was moderately okay. I mean, we did not find any kind of receive any kind of feedback as of now about the difficulty level. And as Father George mentioned to us in the early stage, that XAT is being popular because of its acceptability by different profiles of students, not just engineering students, but of course maybe commerce students and other students who are non-engineering from the background. So that was one of the reason XAT is becoming popular. But at the same time, maybe XLI should also look into the test centers, which should be nearer to the cities where people may not have to travel a long distance or take a flight to reach the destination. So having said that, apart from XLRI, there are 250 B schools which are accepting XAT, and you have a list, entire list in campussutra.com, where you can find out. Dhruva sir will take you through that, the cutoffs and the deadlines and the last dates of each of the applications, and also at what score, which B school you should be targeting. So, for example, let's say you are maybe, Dhruva sir, correct me if I'm wrong, if you are something between 27 to 32, 33, maybe you have a good chance for XLRI, XIMB, and others. And anything between 2025, there's a whole lot of options, which again Dhruva sir will be talking about. So I leave it up to Dhruva sir for now, and maybe we can have a chat at the end. So it's over to you, Dhruva sir.
Thank you. Hi, so we are through with, I think, one of the last major exams of the season. That's an important point to understand. So I'll first share with you what I have made out of the students that I have talked to, and what they have shared about ZAT 2025 quickly, and then by the end I will also talk about the type of institutes and etc. that Nirmala was talking about through ZAT scores. Okay. Now let's first of all uh, quickly talking about ZAT, and let me assure you that ZAT is an exam, and I am an alumni from XLRI, as many people would have seen. I don't think ZAT as an exam is second to CAT, but a lot of people say that this is second to CAT. I generally believe it is actually equivalent to CAT, because first of all, in terms of intellectual level, definitely it is equivalent to CAT. Similarly, this is the highest number of test takers. I mean, this year approximately 1.5 lakh people, the exact figure being 1.42 lakh people, have applied through ZAT, and over the years we have seen that the popularity of ZAT has increased. Okay, in fact this year there were total 34 centers. Apologize for my spelling mistake, but there were 34 centers that were increased all over India uh, for ZAT centers. And yes, I think one worry or one disappointment many students must have faced is that their centers were quite far away from their home. Okay, just give me 1 second, please. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so some of the centers were quite far away. People reported centers 30 kilometers away, 50 kilometers away. That happened in CAT as well, but it seems to be more frequent for male candidates in ZAT. Okay, in CAT also this happened. Centers were 15, 20 kilometers away, which is understandable. That it seems to be slightly worrisome, because some of Delhi students also got in Lucknow, Agra, Meerut. So yeah, I mean quite far away. I mean more than 70 kilometers on the day of that traveling is definitely difficult. So I think that is something which uh, that authorities should be told. But yeah, The good news is that I think this is the highest number of ZAT takers in the history of business school entrance exams. I think 1.5 lakh people, almost 1.42 lakh people applying through ZAT, and many institutes now accepting ZAT score. Gives a lot of hope to students that, if your CAT does not go off well, uh, except for maybe the IMs which you have missed, there is still XLRI, XIM Bhubaneswar, Goa Institute of Management, 4, IMI. Okay, these are institutes which uh, are fantastically good, and even if your CAT does not go off well on one day, you still have a very good chance to get into these colleges through ZAT. So we'll talk about all these colleges by the end of the session. Institute like MICA, obviously you'll have to write MyCat apart from the CAT or the ZAT score through which you must have applied. But yeah, the thing is that this has been seen and has been popularized as another attempt, another day, another scope to India's top 20, top 30 business schools. And therefore, if anybody is watching it for next year, if anybody is watching it for knowing about that, my suggestion will be definitely people should consider that. Okay. Now, also let me tell you that I have been telling this for some time, but I will repeat and reiterate that there has been always uh, some myth that ZAT is tough. ZAT questions are tougher than CAT. There are a lot of permutation combination questions, or higher maths question that come in, etc. This, I hope, should be put to rest now. For the last 2 3 years, ZAT has not asked uh, so-called very tough questions. Even the quant section this year was moderate to easy, I will go ahead and say. So therefore, yeah, my guess is that ZAT is as good an exam as CAT, or for that matter any other entrance exam in India. In intellectual level, as at par with CAT, chances level at par with CAT. So therefore, yes, you should write ZAT every year for all the future aspirants that we can talk about. Uh, this was the structure of the paper. Very interesting this year is that whatever the ZAT online website said, ditto the paper was done. There was VALR 26 questions, decision making 21 questions, and Quant DI 28 questions. So this is exactly what they had said about the paper on the website. They obviously use the word approximately or about, but yeah, they stuck to the number. So their exact VLR 26 questions. The interesting part of the story was that last year they used to have 4 RCs. This year they increased it to 5 RC. Uh, uh, VA, obviously there were lesser number of questions, 15 questions of VRC. Uh, some mistake in the slide, so please ignore it. Yeah, so RC's total, there were 5 RC passages. Okay. And DM questions, there were total 21. Quant and DI problem solving was 16. DI questions, DI says there were 12, 4 sets of 3 questions each. Okay. Each of these sections, if I can give in terms of difficulty level, each of them were moderate. There are enough number of doable questions. In the VALR section, there are at least 16 to 17 very much doable questions if you are well prepared. DM, there were 12 to 13 questions which were well prepared, and I'll tell you the reason why I have kept this number much lower over the other 2 sections. Quant and DI 16 to 17 questions. Obviously, the part 2 had GK questions, 20 questions, 10 minutes. Out of the 20 questions, again, the feedback that I have received is approximately 7 to 10 questions were easily doable. People could uh, target them well. Okay. Just to clarify, GK is not a part of the final scorecard. Uh, while they will mention your GK score, but that is not used for shortlisting for either XLRI or any other institute for that matter. What XLRI says is they use the GK score for final selection of the candidate. Now we are not 100% sure how that is used. However, what we know is that maybe that, if taking into account the XAT score and your PDP part score, if 2 3 candidates are tie, then maybe GK plays a tiebreaker or something like that. But yeah, it is very clear that this is not used for shortlisting candidates for the GD interview stage of even XLRI. Definitely not for other institutes. Okay. Let's quickly look at section by section, and that will give you a much better idea for you. Uh, this year, because one RC was increased, and there are 15 questions from the RC section, so obviously the standalone questions were reduced. Generally, if you remember, during the uh, planning stage, when we are talking about preparation for that, I had said that you should do the standalone questions first, and you should do the RC questions maybe on a later stage. Time should not be a problem for XLRA. You have ample amount of time. So yeah, the standalone questions this year were reduced. There were uh, uh, para formation, there was 2 questions of sentence correction, there were critical reasoning. Okay. Now why I'm slightly worried about this section, uh, though the difficulty level was not much different than last year, why I'm slightly worried about this section is because the critical reasoning had 2 new type of question. There were 2 cartoons where you have to read the cartoon, understand the what is happening in the cartoon, and based on that answer a critical reasoning type of question. So anybody who is not comfortable or gets caught by surprise might have slight difficulty in those 2 3 questions. Okay, so there was one poem and 2 cartoons. So that part of the story, from the VA section, I would be slightly apprehensive, because people would not have been very comfortable with this type of question. They're seeing it for the first time. The language was definitely not easy. Okay, for these 3 CR questions, the 2 cartoons and the poem. So anybody who is not very comfortable in reading, or trying to adjust to a new type of question, for these 2 questions, my guess is it would have been slightly tough. Okay. Another observation that I saw was that while there were 2 short passages of 200 words, there were 2 long passages of 500 words, 500 plus words. Interestingly, the language of the short passages was moderate to tough. The language and the questions in the long passages were easier. Okay, so people would have scored more if they would have actually done the long passages. Okay, now if you have not done that, then you actually missed out on some very easy questions. Okay, uh, I thought 50 minutes was adequate amount of time to see all the questions. Okay. There was enough number of time. I don't think time constraint would have been a major issue in XLRI. I mean, for 75 questions, you getting 3 hours vis-a-vis a 60, 65 question paper, and you get 2 hours in CAT. Or for that matter, a 60 question paper, you get 1 hour in SNAP. So my guess is time would not have been a constraint in the paper. So if you are able to read all the passages, and if you have use your jurisprudence well, then you would have actually attempted the long passages over the short passages. If however you are of the view that मैंने तो short passages से चालू किया था, short passages से ये किया, then I'll be slightly worried about your accuracy rate. At least in the short passages, I found out that the options were pretty close. Okay, so here my worry will be your accuracy rate. The grammar and the para formation part was easy. The critical reasoning 3 questions were slightly tough. So my guess is if you have done the 2 long passages, the one moderate passage, one short passage, uh, about this the sentence correction question and the para formation question, and the other questions with, let's say, around 50 to 60% accuracy rate, my guess is that you would have cleared the cutoff very, very well. Okay. Here, the question selection played a very important role. Uh, Many students would have done the short passages over the long passages. Now, I'm not saying this was a wrong strategy. Obviously, it takes less amount of time to read and quickly understand and then code the questions, especially because every passage had equal number of questions. However, as I said, that what I think mind trick that SAT played this year was that the long passages had easier language, easier questions. So very clearly, uh, the students who avoided the long passages would have been to a disadvantage. Okay. Anybody who would have attended the long passages, my guess is those questions, the last two passages of 500 plus words, my guess is they would have easily got 100% accuracy rate in those 5 6 questions they attempted. So that is the play that you will need to keep in mind. uh, Zats का score आ जाएगा. I think within next 10 days he will be ready with the correct answer keys and the response sheet. So therefore, we will get a very clear idea quickly. But that's the apprehension and the worry that I'm sharing with you, that people attempting the long passages would have distinctly got an advantage. Uh, I think this section, 50 minutes, 52 minutes was an adequate amount of time to be able to see all the questions and very comfortably decide which question to attempt, which question not to attempt. Okay. And people who are well prepared would have given mocks, would have attended my last session, which I had given about XAT preparation, would have attempted not less than 17 to 18 questions in this section. Okay, I'll come back to accuracy rate later, but yeah, attempting 7 to 18 questions in this section was almost a no brainer. Okay, because timing was never an issue. If you would have given 50 minutes to this section, 50 to 52 minutes, easily you could have shortlisted 17 to 18 questions and could have attempted it well. So if you talk about accuracy rate, and with the general accuracy rate being anywhere between 75 to 80%, a good score in this paper would have been 18 questions attempted, about 15 right, 3 wrong, so somewhere between 12 to 14 marks would have easily given you about 95 percentile plus. Okay, I'll come back to the breakup slightly later in the discussion, but yeah, easily somebody would have scored 12 to 13 marks. That should be not difficult at all in this section. Coming to the decision making section, very typical ZAT, very typical XLRI. 7 sets of 3 questions each. Uh, this year, compared to last year, almost every student that I have talked to have said that the caselets were much longer than previous year's questions, as well as the type of mocks they have attempted. The mocks were obviously inspired by last previous year's questions. uh, in fact, when I heard it from the students, when I talked to the people who have attempted the paper and understood the type of wordings and etc that was given, and then I compared it with the previous year's papers that is given on the ZAT website. Yes, it comes out that the caselets were longer, uh, at least 25 to 30% longer, lot of data, lot of information. That there were questions where the question stem was long, okay, which resulted in the options being also slightly longish. So people had to scroll to read both the questions and the options together, comparing the options. Uh, there were 3 to 4 business cases, quasi business, quasi personal cases. There was one case about choosing business school, career, etc. So an ethical dilemma type of a situation, more a personal case than a business case. But yeah, I mean, people would have spent more time than last year in trying to shortlist the answer. Okay, and that is exactly where I think that the cutoff in this section will be lower. Okay. Now there are two reasons for it. Now, traditionally, this is one section of the paper where people tend to attempt all the questions. Okay, because this is not theoretical. Okay, English is theoretical. If you don't know the grammar rule, you will not attempt the grammar question, or if you don't know the vocabulary, you will not attempt the tone question. But decision making is something wherein, everybody has a viewpoint. It is something like Indo-Pak cricket match, and everybody has a viewpoint about whether India should play with Pakistan or Pakistan should play with India, something like that. So that is where I think one big worry that I have is that decision making, these 21 questions were easily attemptable over 50 minutes. And then if people would have attempted as high as 20 to 21 questions, my guess is that uh, at least at least 6 questions should have gone wrong. Okay, because two sets had very close options, very close options. Okay. uh, I will be surprised if lot of students would have got those two sets correct. So if those two, I mean, if you'd have done them well, fantastic, you would get a lot of scores in that. But this is one section where accuracy rate on an average has been in the range of 50%. Okay, so if you have attempted a lot of questions, if you have attempted 21 questions altogether, my worry is that the scores will come down, it will be pulled down. So which is why I have always said that please exercise restraint. Okay, this is one section where you should not have gone berserk, you should not have gone all guns, etc. Ideally in such sections which is not theoretical, which is more about understanding your value system, your thought process, your ability to select and reject options. Here, because time was high and number of questions was less, my worry is that many people would have attempted, as I said, lot of questions. uh, and that is exactly why the average percentile uh, versus absolute score in this section would have come down. Okay, my guess is that if you are very restrained, if you are very cautious, uh, if you touched your heart and said that no, I have been able to reduce it to two options, so I should not attempt the question instead of marking something. uh, my guess is you should have attempted in the range of around 15 questions. Two would have gone wrong, unforced errors, somewhere around 13 right, two wrong, approximately 11 to 12 marks would have been a fantastic score in this section. Okay, if you score more than that, my guess is you would have done well. Let's wait for the correct answer keys. But as I said, this is one section which has killed many people over the years. uh, People who score very high in quant, people who score very high in English, lose a lot of marks or miss the sectional cutoff of DM. So I hope now that it is over, I hope that you have played restrained, you played well, you said all is well and did not attempt questions which you had an iota of confusion or something like that. uh, I cannot easily tell you that some around 10 to 12 questions were very easily doable. There was absolutely no questions there. There were at least one set which uh, was moderate to easy. So even if out of the three questions you were able to do two right and one wrong, that will be a good job done. There were two sets where my worry is that they were really tough. So if you have been able to attempt it, well and good. And let's pray and hope that you have done it well. But if you have done mistakes in that, then you might be in for a little bit of disappointment. Okay, so again, 50 minutes was more than enough time to go through all the questions. There was absolutely no time constraint here. uh, I think even if you would have done 52 minutes to 1 hour, then also it would not have been a much of a problem. So I think that's easily doable. Okay. uh, The quant DI section, the most how do I say, feared section of XLRI. There are a lot of myths that go on that this is a very tough section. They ask a lot of tough questions. The questions look tough. There is a huge number of permutation combination questions. They weed out non-engineers and etc. This has been proved complete myth. I think the 16 problem solving questions range from everything. They had linear equation, they had quadratic equation, height and distance, uh, 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 I think SARDs, number system, coordinate geometry, ratio proportion, simple interest, compound interest. So I think they covered almost the whole length and breadth of the quant section that generally is studied by MBA aspirants. And out of these 16 questions, I can with full confidence tell you not less than 8 were moderate to easy. Okay, so for example, let's say a probability question generally, a lot of people are not even comfortable with the name of the subject, or maybe a coordinate geometry where not people are not even comfortable with the name of the subject. But something like a linear and quadratic equations are very very straightforward. Numbers question was quite easy. Okay, the SICI question is actually I will say difficulty level 5 out of 10. I mean that the question that came. So therefore, uh, out of these 16 questions, if somebody is good in quant, they would have easily done at least 8 to 10 questions right. Okay, the DI sets, they were less DI because there was only one pure calculation based DI set. The rest of the three sets were mostly uh, uh, LR based. Okay, so therefore, uh, and three questions each. So therefore, there are 12 questions of DI. I found them to be moderate to difficult. Uh, there were slightly longish calculations in the calculation based DI set. Again, my guess is because there was a calculator this time, so and time was never a constraint. Okay, because here, after giving approximately 50 minutes to the English section, 52 minutes to 1 hour uh, uh, for the sorry, for the decision making section, you would have easily got approximately 1 hour for the quant DI section. Okay, unless you did something called a second round or something like that. So my guess is this was not something you would have missed out. The calculations were uh, long but doable, which means that if you would have used the calculator, you would have reached to the correct answers easily. Similarly, the LR questions, again, if you would have spent approximately 5 to 7 minutes in trying to figuring out what exactly is happening, my guess is out of the three LR sets, you would have easily got at least one to two of them. So, taking that into account, again, with an approximate 50 to 55 minutes to be given to that section, my guess is people would have done at least 8 to 10 questions of quant and at least uh, 4 to 6 questions of the LRDI section. And I'm talking about a semi prepared student. I'm not even talking about a very high prepared student or a 99 percentile one. And with 80% accuracy rate, anybody would have been able to, if you would have done it well, if you would have not panicked, if you would have maintained your calm, uh, there is actually nothing there to lose calm this year. If, looking at the CAT paper of 23, CAT 23 was much much tougher than CAT of 24 and ZAT of 25. So anybody would have done lot of tough questions in the previous year's papers or in the mocks would have been in for a good surprise, because the questions were not tough at all. None of the questions look tough. Okay, even the probability question did not look tough. The coordinate geometry question did not look tough. So therefore, if anybody would have started attempting it without any shocker, my guess is you could have easily done these questions well. Now there was, please remember, there is no subsectional cutoff called quant or DI, not that we know of. So therefore, if anybody would have done only quant or anybody would have done only DI and would have done a substantial number of questions, they would have been able to clear the cutoff. Okay, so again, my guess is somewhere around 15 to 16 questions attempted, 80% accuracy rate. would have been good enough to give you approximately 90 to 95 percentile. Okay, that is something which we'll be talking about. So therefore, if I therefore talk about the prediction and the summary, uh, VLR, my guess is that a score of 10. Please ignore the number of questions wala tab. I think there is some mistake here. Uh, a net score of 10 would have easily given you 88 to 90 percentile. Not difficult at all. Okay, a score of 13 to 14, that's what we had discussed, would have given you 95 plus percentile, and a score of 17 would have given you 99 plus percentile. Okay, now one thing that you need to understand is that XLRI, unlike IIMs, uh, most of the time does not really require a 99 plus percentile for its courses. People do start getting calls even at 95 percentile, 95 to 96 percentile for the BM course, and even sometimes 92 to 93 percentile, sometimes even 90 percentile, depending on your profile, for the HR course. Okay, so therefore, what you need to understand is that overall, if you see into this, a score of approximately 33 to 35, and you should be expecting an XLRI call overall. Okay, however, the percentile that I mentioned is 88 to 90. They play a crucial role, at least for XLRI. If you miss out on these individual marks, that is, if you have scored less than 10 in VLR, if you've scored less than 7, 8 in decision making, and if you score less than 10 in Quant and DI, you should be slightly worried, because XAT generally tends to have uh, strong sectional cutoffs of at least 87.5 percentile in each of the three sections. So my guess is that an overall score of 33 to 35, with at least 10, 7 to 8 in DM and 10 in the Quant and DI section, should get you at least the HR call for from XLRI. My guess is again slightly higher, maybe 2 3 marks, couple of marks higher, would easily give you a call for the BM course. Okay, obviously, XLI comes out with the exact percentiles every year, at what percentile people got calls. And yes, there are calls for the different standard different cutoffs for male, female, male engineer, female engineer, male non-engineer, female non-engineer, and so on and so forth. So yes, I mean, whatever I have mentioned is in the range of, let's say, an average of everybody. Uh, some people will require somewhere around 97 percentile to get a call. If let's say your 10 12 marks are low, or your graduation marks are low, some people will require only 90 percentile to get a call. But yeah, more or less, the scores that you see on the slide, uh, for 88 to 90 percentile, 95 percentile, and 99 percentile, that should comfortably give you a call from at least one of the courses of XLRI. Okay. Now, as Nirmala had pointed out, that there are many good institutes uh, under XLRI. Okay, XLRI generally starts giving calls at 95 96 percentile. You can see that XIM Bhubaneswar starts giving calls at 91 percentile. Great Lakes start giving calls at approximately 90. Goa Institute of Management, Loyola, IMT Ghaziabad, etc. They start giving calls at approximately 90. So these are some of the institutes, some of the best institutes which will take XAT score. Uh, if you are, so you can now match it up. I mean, I have given you an idea with this, that what score should give you what percentile. Okay, except maybe an XLRI Jamshedpur and tentatively an XIM Bhubaneswar main course, you don't have to worry about the sectional cutoffs. Okay, and don't have to worry about the sectional cutoffs if the dates are still left, and you match only the overall scores, that is 25 to 27 for 88 to 90 percentile, 33 to 35 for 95 percentile, and 40 to 42, in fact maybe slightly a couple of marks lower. I would actually go ahead and say 38 to 40 for 99 percentile. If you are matching those scores, then if there are dates left and etc., you should apply to these colleges. High chances that you will get calls. Okay. Please note that Ford School of Management, IMT Ghaziabad, IMI Delhi, these are very, very good colleges. If unfortunately you have not been able to get into an IM or an XLRI or an FMS of the world, then these are the colleges you should definitely consider for getting a very, very good MBA. Okay. This is available on the website of campussutra.com. We will put that link in the comments so that you can visit the name of these schools and these cutoffs, and they can refer to them. That is the whole idea. You should definitely go through these colleges, see the type of profiles they look for, and that should give you a very fair idea about which college you can still apply. Okay. The last thing that I want to say about before Nirmala takes over is, while uh, we are at the end of the road for major exams, yes, there will be a CUET left, CUET PG left, or maybe uh, some 2 3 other exams still left on the road. uh, but majority of the exams are actually over. CAT results are already out, you know that. I am Amritsar, I am Raipur, IMK first stage results are already out. Within the next 10 days or so, you will have plethora of calls. I think Symbiosis will come out with their result, Narsimunji will come out with their result, all IIMs will be out with their shortlist. uh, uh, Colleges like IMI 4, IMT Ghaziabad will come out with their shortlist through CAT calls. SPGen has already come out with their profile based call results. So therefore, next 15 days are going to be very, very crucial. Please don't waste too much time in worrying about what is going to be the result, and should I worry, should I start PDP preparation after the results are out, and etc. Start preparing, because PDP is something, when I mean PDP, I mean personality development program. PDP is something which will help you in your life, not necessarily in a business school. So I mean, looking at the worst possible scenario, even if you don't get your coveted calls, start preparing for PDP right away, because once the calls start coming, you really don't get much time to prepare for PDP. So it is very, very important to understand that. Therefore, these results, the moment they start pouring in, please quickly jump into the PDP preparation. In fact, start now, so that you get enough time to prepare for group discussion, general questions like why MBA, what are your strengths and weaknesses, etc. You will not be ready in 5 to 10 days of time. So that's very, very important. Yes, Nirmal, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dhruva sir. It was a wonderful session, and you have taken us through each of the analysis, each of the papers, and some of the questions which we have been receiving is uh, like sectional scores. How does sectional scores, like overall score is something, but sectional scores are also important, right, to a great extent. Maybe there are few B schools who do not have a sectional cutoff, as you said, but some of them have. So XLRI, apart from XLRI, if we consider that there's a very good chance for other B schools, Four School, IFMR, GSB, IMT, Goa Institute of Management, and all that. Could you also throw some light on the score? Like percentile is one thing. The score for example, DI, you mentioned Quant, and DI is one of the most feared section of XAT. What's a good score for Quant and DI?
Not be ready in 5 10 days. That's what I mentioned. I specifically mentioned. Let me share it once again. Uh, Specifically mentioned that. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, my score, my screen is visible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that a score of 11 to 12 in the quant section, I'm talking about this. So this should give you around 95 percentile. A score of 10 in that section should give you an 88 to 90 percentile. That's the good idea. 99 percentile should be somewhere around 13 questions in the paper. Please remember, whenever I'm talking about this sectional percentiles, okay, these scores, maybe this is important only for XLRI and maybe an XIM Bhubaneswar. For every other institute, you should only look at these scores. Only these scores. You don't have to really worry about any other scores.
Excellent. So, one more question which we often come across is this score good enough? I would come to the next question later on. If I have to answer, is this score good enough? I guess if you are not able to somehow get through to a XLRI or to a IIM, as you said that XLRI, somebody, if the profile is good, if there is a experience, 1 or 2 years of experience, and if the scores of your 10th class, your 12th class graduation is decent, then XLRI cutoff, you may accept a call from XLRI even at a 90 percentile and above,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But apart from that, also, even if XLRI is something which you are not able to make it, there are plenty of options as we have already listed out. So the right answer to this question is, well, this score is good enough. 25 to 27 is definitely good. 28 to 30 plus 33, 30, 31, 32 is definitely very good. At the same time, the other question which follows the first question is, should I drop out and should I attempt next year? Now, my personal thing, before I ask your comments, my personal opinion is, drop out only if you are having if you are in a job, if you are getting a decent payout, if you feel that okay, you are, you can continue the job and again next year you can try it out. That is the only case where I think you should consider, explore whether you should drop out for this year and again go for the next year CAT or ZAT. Otherwise, I strongly believe and I strongly feel that dropping out for 1 year is, again, you are losing out 1 year of your career. So dropping out does not make sense. Rather than the top, maybe there are many more options with you. There are plenty of B schools. You can come to campussutra.com and you can see the cutoffs and the last dates of the applications. If you have not applied, you have to apply and go for any of the B schools and try to do a better, overall this thing in that particular description, that your average offer is much probably better, rather than compared to a scenario where you are dropping out and next year you are in a same situation where you have not probably scored to that level which you may be expected. So मेरा मेरा कहना यही है। ध्रुव सर, आप बताओ।
well, generally, this question I answer as, if I want to get married to the most beautiful girl in this world, first somebody has to say yes to me. So, I mean, the way I look into it is, uh, we have not converted any call till now to reject anyone. So, I think the first job in the month of January is whatever calls you get, you must convert it. And then maybe in the month of March, we see what job do I have, what is the economic scenario, is our GDP growing, is there a fear of you being fired from your job. All these things can be looked in March when you have 5 calls. I mean, let's say, if
अप्रेजल हो रहा है।
is it low, I think this decision should be postponed till at least mid of April, to whether to take that call or not. As of now, in the month of January, I think everybody should concentrate on converting whatever calls they have. Uh, uh, Let me tell you upfront, I think no college is good or bad. It is us who are good enough or not good enough for any college. So therefore, the first thing will be that you convert the call. Okay, now somebody with a very high salary might consider that, okay, let's take a name that, look, this specific XYZ college is not good. Okay, now the point is XYZ college has also not said that you are good enough to come to our college. So it really does not matter as of now. Rejecting the XYZ college before they reject you is not really right.
Two very good points. Just to follow up with what you said, one is that right now, the focus should be to prepare for GDPI, read a lot, prepare for the interview. If you have any queries, you can shoot at us. We would try to address each of them. And if there is any specific B school you would like to know about how the process is, what kind of GDPI process they follow, we will also be able to help you on that. The other thing is, good or bad, yes, the institutes, the brand value may differ from one institute to another, but end of the day, we have to keep it in mind that the recruiter is not looking for the brand value as much as the recruiter is looking for the skills which the individual, the student is having. So the most important thing here, the recruiters probably over a period of time in the future would only go for skills, not much for brand value. Brand definitely would come into picture, but I'm sure the weightage of the skills would be higher, much higher when it comes to the skills of the candidate rather than the brand value, right?
Absolutely. I think, and in fact, let me share with you, it is like almost 20 years I have completed my MBA. I think one learning that I have from last 20 years of my post MBA life is, at some point of time, it does not matter which institute you are from, it is your work which speaks, it is your learning which speaks. So therefore, should you do an MBA at the earliest? My suggestion, I completely agree with you, Nirmalya, that you should not, matlab, if it is a choice between wasting 1 year and taking a college, I will always give a precedence to taking a college.
Absolutely, totally agree.
Yeah, that is always there. Yes, there can be some case to case basis wherein you have a call and you have to decide or something like that, but I strongly recommend that जनवरी महीने में ये मत सोचिए, ये अप्रैल में सोचिए, पहले 4-5 कॉल ले आइए, आप मुझे गोवा इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मैनेजमेंट का कॉल कन्वर्ट करके दिखाइए, आप मुझे ग्रेट लेक्स का कॉल कन्वर्ट करके दिखाइए, ठीक है, और आप एक जॉब ऑफर भी ले आइए, ये तीनों को लेके बैठते हैं and then decide which is the most beautiful bride for you. We can take a call on that, but as of now, I think this question should not come in anybody's mind, that whether we should apply to the B schools or convert their GDPI. I think that's a strict yes, नो सेकंड ऑप्शन, कन्वर्ट द कॉल्स. अभी कैट के बारे में दोबारा मत सोचिए, जनवरी फरवरी बहुत अच्छे से पीडीपी दीजिए, कॉल्स कन्वर्ट करके लाइए. ट्रस्ट मी, अगर आपने 1 साल से कैट प्रिपरेशन किया है और अगर आप अप्रैल से बोलते हो कि मैं दोबारा कैट करूंगा, आई डोंट थिंक इट विल बी अ प्रॉब्लम. आई डोंट थिंक इट विल बी अ प्रॉब्लम.
Absolutely. Thanks for validating my whatever I said. And in fact, worst case scenario, you have three more exams coming in end of January, right? CMAT,
I
then
think CMAT is there, CUET is there, MyCat is there for people in Maharashtra. Maharashtra CET is there. Oh, I mean, exams की कमी नहीं है. I mean, if somebody gets into Jamnalal Bajaj through Maharashtra city, I mean,
lottery. It's a lottery.
it's a lottery. So
Yeah.
what I'm fundamentally saying is that अभी कुछ भी नहीं खत्म हुआ है. Thinking whether I should write CAT again, let's talk on 15th of April. You bring me all your converted calls or lack of it, whatever is the decision, and then we can take a call. अभी तो उसके बारे में सोचना ही नहीं है. अभी तो please call convert कीजिए. See, you never know. We have a new president in US. We have our GDP conditions not so bright as we had 5 years back. Uh, there are rumors that something like COVID is coming in China. Now, I am not saying any one of them is going to be a bad news or something like that, or COVID days are coming back. All I am saying is, देख लेते हैं अप्रैल में अगर सब कुछ ठीक ठाक है, we will take a call. अभी आपके हाथ में कॉल्स है, अच्छे कॉलेजेस हैं. These colleges will give you a very beautiful future. Please don't underestimate any college. Convert their calls. अप्रैल में डिसाइड करते हैं कि आप उसके उसमें जाने लायक हो या आप उसको छोड़ सकते हो या समथिंग लाइक दैट.
Correct. So now focus should only and only be on GDPI, and if you want to take any of the other test which is coming up in the end of January, maybe around 22nd or 23rd, we may do a follow up for those students who are sitting on appearing for those tests. We will keep you posted. In the meantime, do check in campusfuture.com for the cutoffs for that, for the 200 plus B schools which are there listed, the last dates, register, we would send you an alert on the last dates, and also from a single window, that is mbapplications.in, you can apply to various colleges. You can store them in your registered pocket, save it, and we would get a lot of options there. So we will share those links here in the comment section. You can utilize that. And until then, we would probably see you in the end of January. Do not even think of alternatives like dropping out for next year as of now. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dhruva sir.
Thank
We'll see you.